Hello again. Welcome back to my series Chess with the Champions. Today we are going to learn from Morphy. Paul Morphy was an American chess player. He was commonly considered as the best chess player that ever lived and was known as the unofficial chess champion. This was widely accepted when he defeated Adolf Anderssen in Europe. Hence, we are going to start today by seeing one of his games where he played Anderssen. Before starting, I want to tell you a very interesting thing about Morphy. Did you know that Morphy became a world-class player with a public career of less than 2 years? He was the first to rely on the now established principle of development before attack. So, let's start today's session by showing you just how beautifully Morphy develops his pieces before launching an attack. So let's begin. As you know, Adolf Anderssen was a great player and a pretty big rival for Paul Morphy during that time period. In this game, Paul Morphy is white and Anderssen is black. Hi Atul, that's nice. So let's start. Morphy started with e4 and Adolf replied with c5. This opening is known as the Sicilian Defense, where black tries to develop his pieces and maintain the center while developing a c-pawn first. So after c5, Morphy went for knight f3, knight c6, d4, takes, and Anderssen went for the e6. So this is known as the Tymanov Variation, and after e6, Morphy played knight b5. And one can hardly believe that this modern opening was played in 1858. And it is crazy because there wasn't much theory during 1858, and the fact that Morphy played this modern line is pretty unbelievable. So after knight b5, Anderssen replied with d6, bishop f4. Morphy is trying to attack this pawn with all his forces and trying to pressurize d6. And this is also Fischer's favorite move, as Fischer really liked to play bishop f4 in his games. And nowadays c4 is also popular instead of bishop f4. But and c4 is played by Karpov often, and most players prefer it. But in those days, 1858, Morphy went for bishop f4, and Anderssen came with e5. Bishop e3 is forced. And now Anderssen made a pretty suspicious move. He played the move f5. And it took over 100 years actually to prove that knight f6, bishop g5, a6, and black has nothing to worry about. But it took 100 years, and before that f5 was played. And nowadays we realize that f5 is not objectively correct. And after f5, Morphy played a very good move and a pretty natural one, really. So what do you think? What did Morphy play? What did he do that got a nice position with slight advantage? Any ideas? What do you think? What are you thinking, guys? Any ideas? Try to think how Morphy, developed his pieces. As I told you in the beginning, that Morphy developed his pieces first and then developed an attack. So what do you think? How did Morphy play? Correct, Manan. Knight c3 is correct. Morphy played this move, and he feels that chess logic is on his side and goes for an immediate refutation of this premature activity by black. After this, Anderson naturally went for f4, after which knight d5 super move was played by Morphy. Morphy is threatening to jump into c7 square and is willing to give his bishop in exchange for that. And now Anderson doesn't have any way back and he is forced to capture on e3. So that is what he did eventually, f into e3. And naturally now white has pretty much one move, knight c7 check. King f7 was forced since white is giving a double attack, as we know. So king f7 is forced. After king f7, Morphy played a slightly bad move, but it was enough to win the game eventually. But what do you think white should play over here? Should white capture the rook, or is there something better? What do you think? What do you think Morphy did in this position? Morphy didn't play the best move, but what do you think he played and what do you think is the best move? Any ideas? What do you think? I'm waiting for you. Think about how white can develop the attack, or if you want, you can capture on a8. But that is completely your choice. I'm not going to interfere with your thinking. Manan, that is a nice move, queen f3. But after queen f3, and by the way, queen f3 was played by Morphy, so congrats for that. You found Morphy's move. But instead of queen f3, modern engines say that knight into a8 is much stronger, in fact. But obviously Morphy didn't want to lose the black king and wanted to continue his attack for just a rook. So he thought he shouldn't go for material and instead he should develop his attack. But sometimes taking material can be good, but we need to be very careful before doing that. So instead of this, Morphy went for queen f3. And yes, some people are saying bishop c4. Yes, Dave, bishop c4 is an idea. Bishop c4 is actually possible, but let me think. I guess bishop c4, e into f2 is possible. And after e into f2, if you play king into f2, then it's a bit dangerous actually with this going here. But I'm not sure actually. It doesn't look like white has a very strong discovered attack, so he could just play rook b8, and it is dangerous, but I would say there is no follow-up, and hence instead of bishop c4, Morphy played queen f3. But queen f3, as you know, n into a8 was stronger, but Morphy went for queen f3. After queen f3, Anderson went for knight f6, and now you see the strong move bishop c4. So Morphy didn't want to go for bishop c4 directly, but he delayed it and played queen f3 first. After bishop c4, Anderson thought he should attack this queen since it is out early in the game. And as we know, we shouldn't develop our pieces early in the game. But there are some exceptions like this position in front of you. So bishop c4, knight d4. And now what do you think? What did Morphy play? His queen is attacked by this knight. And what do you think? Did he move his queen back or did he do something else? What do you think? Any ideas? What do you think, guys? How did Morphy reply to this knight d4 move played by Anderson? What do you think? Any ideas? Think about the position. What attack does white want, and what is black trying to do in this position? That's correct. That's correct. That's correct, everyone. Knight into f6 is correct. So Anderson had attacked this queen over here, but obviously we know that a check is always stronger than an attack. and hence knight into f6 check is the correct move. This is a discovered check, by the way, and the point is black king cannot move and capture this since the queen is defending, and it's a check. So now black doesn't know what to do. He probably has two options, but in the game Anderson went for d5. His other option is to play king g6, but it looks very scary and I feel like white is going to checkmate. But I guess, yeah, it should be checkmate after queen h5. Yeah, king f6, and what do you think now? How does white checkmate? Any ideas? It's going to be a checkmate, that's for sure. I mean, how dangerous is this queen over here? How does white checkmate? How does white win the game? Think logically. How does include all your pieces in the attack and you're gonna get a win? Any ideas? What do you think, guys? Any ideas? What are you all thinking? Meet Malpani is saying queen f7. Yes, this is a very natural move and pretty obvious. Everyone looks at this move when they think about the position, but I'm not sure if there's any good follow-up. There's king g5, but I don't know how to continue. You could give h4 check, probably, but I'm not sure. Maybe, I guess h4 check and king h6, and there's no follow-up after that, and I guess this is not the best move, queen f7. So king h6 and there's no follow-up, very concrete one, and hence instead of queen f7, let me just check if anyone said the move. Okay, not yet. Everyone is saying knight d5, so let's check this move. Knight d5 check. So where does the king move? King has only one square to move, king e6. Okay, so you got this discovered attack kind of, but how do you progress? How do you progress after knight d5? There is no progress because this knight is not doing much. It has some squares to go to, but there's no useful double attack. You could repeat once again, but it's not taking you anywhere. So knight d5 is not going anywhere either. So what do you think? Is there any other way that you can use to win? Any ideas? It's a bit complex move. It's tricky, but once you see the answer, you realize that it's such an easy move actually. Yeah, it's simple but not easy. Yeah, simple when you see the answer, but not easy. That's correct, Ayam Saxena. Knight e8, amazing move. And this is really lovely as queen is supporting the knight and the knight is giving a check. So the black king again is checked and it has only one square to go to. So black has to play king e7 and obviously queen f7 checkmate since the bishop supports, and this is checkmate. So this was his checkmate and black will not play king e7, but what else can he do? He can play queen into e8, but this just loses a queen and there you go, white is a queen up and is going to win the game. So knight e8 is the correct move. Congratulations to everyone who found it. That's really great. And hence Anderson, in view of these variations, he didn't play king g6 in this position. He chose to play d5, a very attacking move. But after d5, I don't know, maybe... So in the game, Morphy played bishop into d5, the most natural move. But there are some options, like he could have played, I guess, knight into d5. No, but this queen is attacked, right? So he has only one option, bishop into d5. And that's why he played it, bishop into d5 check. And now if you see, black has two options. One is obviously to play king g6. And this move was played by Anderson. Thank you, thank you. Yes, so king g6 was played by Anderson, but this is unfortunately a mistake, and this is not the best move. So I would like to give you some time for you to think what should black play in this position. Let me flip the board. Yeah. So what should black play? Should he play king g6? Anderson played that, but it's not the best move. Yes, I am. Queen into d5 is correct. That's amazing move. We see that the bishop was the checking piece here. It was giving a check to the king. But we also see that the knight is attacking the queen at the same time. So if we think that we can take the bishop, and now if white recaptures, then we can take the queen, right? And we lost a queen, and then we won a queen. So it should be equal material, right? And yes, it is. And I think black is still slightly worse, but he is much better than the game. So yes, queen into d5 was a really great move that Anderson missed, unfortunately. And he played king g6. And as I told you, king g6 is a mistake. And what do you think? What did Morphy play? Any ideas? It's pretty similar to the previous position that we saw, but there are some differences if you look carefully at the position. Remember the previous idea when we saw queen h5 and the following move? I'm not going to tell you the move, obviously, but what do you think is the answer? Prince Oreo queen h5 is a very natural move, obviously. But what is the continuation? Any continuation that you have in mind? Please write it down. Queen h5, Ananad is, yes, it's a very natural move. But what to do after queen h5? What will black play? And how does white continue after that? Any ideas? I am Saxena. The king can escape to d6. That's a good observation, but unfortunately, it's not correct, since after this is still checkmate. The king cannot come to d6 anyways because the knight is controlling it, right? So this is not a valid observation, but it's a good try. So what do you think? What should white do? Should he go for this variation that I just showed you? Prince is saying queen h5, king f6, queen f7. Okay, let us check this. So, are you trying to say that queen f7 this time should be winning? What after king g5? What do you think? What did you have in mind? Any ideas? Because I don't think that there's a valid continuation after this, and I'm pretty sure that white doesn't have a follow-up. So you need to really be careful when calculating these variations, because while calculating you need to be very accurate. Otherwise, it will be very tough to get your calculations correct. Since chess is a complex game, and we should strive to calculate till the end and not halfway. So what do you think, guys? I personally don't think this position is good for white, and it's very complex. h4 check is possible, king h6, but I don't see any follow-up, and it looks like black is just a minor piece up for nothing. And as you can see, knight c2 and ef2 are coming. So I'm not really confident in this position. So let's go back, and instead of queen f7, let me give you a hint. Queen h5 is correct, as it is a very natural move. But what after king f6? Should we go knight e8? It looks like a nice move, right? What do you think? Knight e8 looks nice, right? But what do you think? Is knight e8 actually good, or is it just a blunder? What do you think? Animesh Tiwari is saying f into e3. Okay, f into e3 is a nice move, but I'm not really sure if it's working. Let me give it a thought. F into e3. Are you seeing f into e3 over here? Or yes, it must be here, right? Yes. So f into e3 is in fact the correct move. But I was actually expecting you all to say knight e8, because after queen h5, king f6, knight e8, a very natural move that we saw. But it is actually a blunder, because queen into e8, and we have our move bishop b4 check, and we have a discovered attack on this queen. So it's crazy, because we played a similar variation to the previous example, and in this case we are losing actually. But it is all because this pawn was on d6 in the previous position, so that the bishop cannot come out. And that is why we need to make sure that there aren't any small changes, and we need to look out for very small changes when calculating. And yes, I guess every position has something to learn from. So f into e3 is the correct move after king f6, and after this Anderson played knight into c2. He had some options, I guess. His options maybe were queen into c7, but I guess still rook f7, rook f1 check is what Morphy saw. And if king e7, then we can play rook f7 and we win. Otherwise, if black tries to block, then we can also take rook into f5, bishop f5, and I guess it's still winning maybe after castle. And here we see that this castle is a nice move, and the rook is giving a pressure on the black king. So this is also winning, and instead Morphy went for knight into c2 in this position. And after Morphy's move now, white played king e2. I mean, after Anderson's move, Morphy played king e2, and Anderson resigned, because this king is just just over, and rook f1 check is coming, queen f7 is coming, and the game is over. There's no point continuing, and therefore Anderson resigned. And this is a very impressive demolition of a strong player of Europe, and Morphy did not bother to explain the superiority of this method that he had to just sacrifice and develop his pieces. And this is really phenomenal play, and I guess only Wilhelm Steinitz has some competition towards Morphy. This Morphy was a very romantic chess player. So yeah, let's go to the next example. In this game, the next game, Morphy is again playing white. Yes, so Morphy is again playing white, and he's playing against Lowenthal, who was a very strong player, but Morphy is obviously much superior. So Morphy started with e4, standard, as he always does. Lowenthal replied with e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4. As Morphy always liked to play the Geico piano, as we nowadays say. And as it is very romantic, and there are crazy combinations on the board. So bishop c5 was the reply by Lowenthal, and here Morphy went for a pretty surprising move, and he went for the Evans Gambit. So the Evans Gambit is in this position when white plays b4, and this is just a completely crazy position, since white is sacrificing a pawn early in the opening, and it leads to very crazy combinations in the game. So Lowenthal replied with bishop into b4, c3, bishop c5, and castle. This is very standard opening, and Morphy followed his general principles of developing before attack, as he used to say. So d6 was Lowenthal's reply, d4, d4, and ed4, cd4, bishop b6. And here Morphy played a move that I didn't really. It was really surprising to me. He played d5, and it actually closes the bishop's diagonal, surprisingly. But in reality, this pawn is this d5 move is pretty good, since it discoordinates black's pieces and disorganizes them. So I guess it has its pros and cons, but I guess the pros are much more in this case. So d5, knight e5, and so knight e5 is a good move, and knight a5 was a possibility too. But knight a5, there is this wonderful move that white can play. So what do you think white should play here? I mean, the move might not be correct by objective evaluation, but it's a really fancy move. So what do you think white should play? Prince Oreo says a GrandMasters favorite. Oh, that's great. I did not know about that. Okay, so what do you think white played? Any ideas? Anything you can say? What do you think? Hardik is saying queen h4. Okay, queen f4 is a possibility, but it's not that great because bishop d7, and the bishop is attacking the queen, and I feel that white is forced to play bishop b5, after which takes queen d7, and Lowenthal appears a pawn up after the exchanges, and I don't think this is really great for black. I mean for white. So black is fine here. I really feel like that. Also bishop b5, c6 is a good possibility, because we take and we have a nice position. Next move we can play c5 or knight f6. I feel black is really in a nice position. But instead of queen f4, the most popular move I would say is bishop d3, as Animesh wants to go for bishop d3. But this is not the fancy move I was talking about. Bishop d3 might be best in terms of evaluation, but in terms of practical chess, practical play, I really like the move bishop b2. I like this because we keep this bishop in price, and in the meantime we are attacking this pawn. And I really like this because if black takes, then we can also play this and take the knight back by this double attack. Nice one. So black has no objective in taking. So what can he do? He can, I don't know what he can do. He could play knight e7, but g7 we could be a bit, I don't know, we shouldn't take it maybe because of rook g8, and I'm not really sure if we should allow this this dangerous pressure. So we shouldn't take, but we should just move the bishop back. And white continues with a nice position after castle, knight c3, knight g6, and it's complex, but white has a nice advantage. So bishop b2 is better, since we allow our opponent to make a mistake here, after which we win. But I guess both moves are okay, bishop b2 or bishop d3. So instead of knight a5, Lowenthal didn't see all these complications and just went for knight e5. After which Morphy played knight e5, d5, and he replied with bishop b2. Simple development, just attacking the center and putting pressure on Lowenthal's center position. So he was forced to defend, guarding this e-pawn, and probably his threat is, I don't know, queen b4 is possible, but I'm not really sure about that. So in this position, Morphy played bishop b5 check, and this move is pretty suspicious, but I guess it has a nice motive around it. After bd7, Morphy played bishop d7, king d7, and since black cannot capture with the queen, we can take this pawn, and hence he has to capture with the king. After which queen g4, and we have our amazing double attack. Animesh is asking bishop b2, knight f6, and castle is fine. Well, I guess so, but knight f6, bishop d3, castle, I guess black is fine, but it would just transpose to the game as we saw. And no, yeah, I guess it is fine for black, but it's a nice try by white. So you're right, Animesh. Actually, black is pretty decent over there. It's a complex game still. So back to the game. After knight e5, we see that in this position we were talking about bishop d7, and queen into d7 is not possible because bishop e5, and hence king into d7 is forced. After which queen g4 check, and we have a double attack, amazing one. And Lowenthal is forced to give up a pawn after suppose king e8, then queen g7, queen f6, but this is completely lost after bishop e5, and we win a rook. So this is completely dead for black, but that's why Lowenthal went for f5, a pretty interesting move, since sacrificing a pawn, but you're not allowing white to get a very good not allowing white to break through. So after f5, queen into f5 was played, and black is again forced to move the king since it's a check. It's a check, and the e5 pawn is also hanging. So king e8 was played, and now white has two options, and I would like you all to think here, give it a thought. And what would you play? White has two options, queen e5 and bishop e5. So what do you think? What should white do? Should he capture with the queen and exchange queens, or should he play with his bishop and continue his attack? And remember that Morphy's move might not be the best one. So what do you think? What is your gut feeling here? Should we exchange queens, or shouldn't we just push for an attack? Whoa, okay, Saket is giving knight d2. Okay, I didn't even give this as an option, but it's nice that you're thinking out of the box. So knight d2, looks interesting, but let me give it a thought. I guess knight d2 is actually pretty nice, but I guess knight d2 probably he could play knight at 6. That makes sense. If you take, then we can take, and again obviously white is still better since very active pieces, and this black king is bad. But actually what Morphy played is slightly better than this move. He played bishop into e5. Maybe Morphy missed knight d2. Knight d2 is also a pretty nice move, so congrats for that, Saket. But bishop e5 was played by Morphy. And the other option that I gave you, queen into e5, that is also good, but bishop e5 is better since king f7, and black is slowly going to consolidate after knight e7. So I don't think this is a good move. Bishop e5 is better. Bishop e5, knight h6, which was played by Lowenthal, queen f4, king d7, and there are some moves here, and I would like you to think what should white do. He should okay, let me tell you, knight d2 is the correct move, but there is a mistake in this position. The mistake would be knight c3, and how is it a mistake? What do you think? Any ideas? Because black is actually winning here, and knight c3 would be a big blunder if you were to play it. So how does black win? Black is going to win after some moves. So what do you think? I'm going to be waiting for you, but what do you think? How does black play? Black plays a very simple move, and the game is over, and white feels like, oh my god, What was that move I played? So what do you think? Any ideas? Hardik is saying bishop f2. Wow, okay. But isn't this just a blunder after rook f2? What are you trying? Yeah, I don't think this is working. Because rook f8, we can just go queen g3. And this is not working, sadly. So, what do you think? This is not the correct move, unfortunately. What else? What else? Oh, Saket has given the right move. That's correct. Correct. Rook e8. And surprisingly, this bishop is completely trapped. It's crazy. Even at first sight, I was shocked. How can this bishop be trapped? But it is in fact trapped since this knight blocked its escape route. So, we should, what we can learn from this is we should be really careful before placing our pieces. Otherwise, it could be a deadly mistake. So, that's a nice idea, rook e8. And that is why Morphy played knight d2, keeping in mind that he should have an escape route. And now rook e8 has no point, which because of knight c4. And now even we can defend this bishop instead of moving it back. And now this position is completely winning, I feel, because this king is so weak and white's pieces are so active, I feel. And in the game, Lowenthal continued with bishop c5 in this position. And rook a d1. And white is developing. He didn't bother to take this pawn because it's not necessary, to give this. And it's just unnecessary complicating matters. But maybe, yeah, I guess even rook h8 is much better. And it's unnecessary to allow this. Rook a d1 was played. Then bishop d6, trying to exchange the pieces. And Morphy decided to exchange since after this, rook b1. And here we see that the rook is really active. And if b6, which was played, we bring the other rook. And this position is just mind-blowing because we have these two powerful rooks here. And our knight and queen are nicely placed here. This position is all that white can dream of, with a nice pawn structure too. So completely a nice advantage for Morphy. It's not an advantage, it's completely winning, what am I saying? So queen f6 was continued by Lowenthal, queen e3, bringing the queen here, trying to, attack. Knight g4 was played, and Lowenthal is hoping for some pressure here in the future, but it's not real pressure. This is just artificial. So what do you think white played here? There's a brilliant move that it's a star of the game. It's a star move, and what do you think white played? The queen is under attack, remember. So what do you think white should play? Any ideas? What do you think? I'm waiting for your moves. So what do you think? What did Morphy play? He played a brilliant move. So I don't want to give you any hints since you'll feel really good if you find the move. So keep thinking. It's tough, but you can find it if you put your mind to it. Saket is saying queen a3. Okay. Queen a3 is a good move, but I don't think it is as good as the move played in the game. It's probably still winning, but I guess it is actually good. Maybe rook a8. I'm not really sure. I guess queen a3 looks good after queen a4. So yes, it's a good move, queen a3. I guess it's probably even better than the move played in the game, but no matter, Morphy didn't see this move and he played something else. So anyways, good one, Saket. Queen a3 is good. But what do you think? What did he play? Matrix is saying knight b6, correct. Okay, knight b6 is correct. Even Prince Oreo, correct. Knight b6 is correct. Adarsh Kumar, correct. Knight b6, and it's a brilliant sacrifice. And if a b6, then rook c7 check, amazing move. And if king into c7, then queen into b6, king d7, queen a7, followed by rook b8. After king d8, rook b8, and it is checkmate finally. Really nice. But instead, after rook c7, king d8 is still there, after which queen b6, and again we see that this counter attack is deadly. So black has just one thing to do here to delay the mate, is queen into f2 check, trying to exchange the queens. And after the exchanges in this position, we see that we cannot capture back because the rook on c7 is hanging. So what do you think white played? Actually, let me just tell you, since it's not that relevant. He played rook a7. Morphy played rook a7 with the idea of rook b8 checkmate, and hence black is forced to play king c8, after which we can take and finish. Position is lost since we have many pawns extra. Oh, correct, Hardik. That's amazing, Hardik. I didn't see your message. Correct. So after rook a7, black could hope for a check, but it's nothing. Still we can take, and king c8, we can bring our king slowly, and it's game over. White won over here. Lowenthal resigned. So a lovely game by Morphy, showing that developing before attacking is a very good technique to win, and his romantic combinations in chess were just mind-blowing today. So this is the last position for the day I want to show you, and it's a very common position. Let me get that in front of you. Yeah, so this is a very classic and common game where Morphy just kills his opponent. And if I tell you the opponent's name, you might be able to remember. The opponent's name is Karl Duke. Duke was playing black and Morphy was white. And this is a very common position, common game, I mean. And Morphy just finished his opponent. Let me show you how he did. He played e4, e5, knight f3, d6. This is the Steinitz variation. After d6, then d4, bishop g4 was played. And this is actually a bad move, but you shouldn't move your bishops actually. You should bring your knights out first, and that is why knight c6 is a good option. But bishop g4 is not good, as it just defies the general principle in the first place. So d into e5 was played very naturally, bishop f3, and now this is forced because if you take, then we can exchange the queens and take the pawn, and that is why white is winning, since he just won a pawn and now he has another double attack. So this position is winning, and hence I played bishop into f3, queen into f3, and this position is pretty common after d into e5, bishop c4, and this position is just great actually. Black has no development, and white has this amazing attack going on with nice development. So white is ready to castle and bring out his pieces, and black has nothing here. All his pieces are just dead. So Karl played knight f6, and there's a common variation actually with queen f6, and if queen b3, then b6, knight c3, c6, and it's a very common variation, and there are very complex variations after bishop g5, and if he takes, because bishop f7 is coming. So there are very complex variations, and this is not the topic for today. So knight f6 was played, and generally we go queen b3, and this is what Morphy did as usual. So queen b3, queen e7, and if queen into b7, if Morphy had done this, then queen b4 was there. So Morphy was careful not to play queen b7 because queen b4 is going to trade the queens immediately. So if black capture, then this position is liquidating, and white has a minimal advantage, not a very big advantage. So instead of this, if knight c3, which was played by Morphy, and c6, bishop g5, and as you can see that Morphy is developing very fast and very strongly, but black is still dead here with his pieces. So development advantage Morphy 1 point, Karl Duke 0 points, and Morphy uses his development advantage to his benefit, and he very easily wins the game in just a few more moves. In a 5 or 6 moves, the game is over. So let's see how. Bishop g5, b5, and here Morphy saw a very nice tactic, which was let me give you some time to think about this. How do you play in this position? And in fact, this tactic just finishes the game. So I'll be extremely happy if you can find that tactic, but it is slightly tough, so don't feel bad if you can't, and just try to find what white should do. The tactic is really beautiful, and if you can find it, I'll be the happiest man on earth. So what do you think? Anything? Okay, nice. People are saying already. Saket, Prince Oreo, and Animesh. Knight b5, correct? The point is cb5, bishop b5, and we have a very strong attack, and this completely justifies our sacrifice. So knight bd7, and what do you think white played? Correct, Prince. You know this game, I guess. Or if you don't, then you finding it on the board. That's also brilliant, amazing. Castle, and white is setting to put pressure on the knight, and in reality, actually, the threat is already to take, since we have 2 pins here. As you already know that when we have 2 pins in the position, there can be a lot of tactics, and we need to be careful and on the lookout for tactics in general. So Karl played rook d8, and he can't do anything else since the knight is attacked. So after rook d8, now Morphy played a great move that just finished Karl's game completely. Okay, that's great, Prince. That's great. Nice to hear that. So yeah, rook d8. Then what do you think Morphy played? This move is completely great, and it just finished Karl's position completely. Saket and Animesh are saying rook into d7. Wow, nice, strong move. So what is the point? How does this work out? After rook d7, what does black play, and how does white reply? I don't want to give it away because it's a great example, and I want you to think about it. So what do you think? What do you think after rook d7? Black obviously has to play rook into d7. That's pretty obvious. But what do you do after this? It's still a question. Correct, Prince Oreo. Amazing. Rook d1. Saket also. Rook d1. And now white can simply take the knight. And with bringing the rook, his pawn, he has a great advantage. And this king is, just dead. And he's 2 pawns ahead, white, after he takes this rook. So Karl over here was forced to play queen e6, and now Morphy played another great move. And what do you think it is? Obviously, queen into e6 is completely winning anyways. After queen e6, fe6, it's still winning, but what did Morphy play? Morphy didn't play queen e6. He played much better and brilliant move completely. Okay, people are saying, Adarsh is saying Saket and Adarsh, bishop d7. Amazing move. The point is, if queen into e6, which was the possibility, then f into e6, bishop f6, and we take the rook and the game is over. But this is not the best. Bishop into d7 is much better. And after knight d7, what do you think White played? He played an amazing move. Now this move is one of the favorites of mine, my personal favorites, and I really like it because it uses all the pieces and amazing tactic. So what do you think? What was played by Morphy? Oh, okay. Saket and Prince saying bishop d7, queen b8. Correct. Queen b8, a fantastic move. Point is, if knight b8, then obviously rook d8 checkmate. And once I saw this, I was too happy that this tactic worked out from the start, from this position all the way. From b5, this tactic worked out after knight b5, and this whole combination, that Morphy saw this whole combination is just unbelievable. It's a great moment for Morphy. And yes, as you can see, this amazing tactic is winning the game completely. And now finally queen b8 and rook d8 is coming as always. So this was a brilliant game. I guess. What did we do in this class? We saw 3 games of Morphy, very nice games. And what I want you to take away is that you really need to develop your pieces before attacking, since if you go for premature attacks, then you're not gonna like it, because premature attacks are never good, and you should always develop then attack, as Morphy did in these games. And yeah, that's about it. So in the first game, let's just recap. We saw the game versus Anderson, where it was this opening, the completely finish after knight c3, and Morphy sacrificed on move 9, and after this he completely just blasted Anderson with his amazing tactical skills. And Rahul Gupta is asking, how old are you? Well, I am actually 13 years old. Yeah, so back to the game. Morphy played a brilliant game with many tactics. d5 and bishop d5, and there were many complex variations here. And one thing I wanted to discuss actually was in this position king e7, and I think it's a pretty great move actually. I forgot to mention this, since queen d5 was the refutation, but also king e7 is a really good move, because after queen h5, for example, to play queen f7, he can just take gf6, queen f7, king d6, and surprisingly this king on d6 is completely I guess safe. It's not going to be checkmate anytime soon, and black is surviving with these pawns here. So this is what I wanted to say, that sometimes the most unusual move also is working, and we should always be on the lookout for these type of moves, because we would easily play queen into d5 in this position, but it leads to a very slightly worse position. But instead, if king e7 is better, we should always look out for it. And after this game, we saw that Morphy played against Lowenthal, a brilliant game again, and the Evans Gambit with b4 on move 4, and Morphy again played a beautiful game with many tactics as usual. And yeah, this game was really nice too. And yes, bishop rook d1, bishop d6, and as usual Morphy played his very completely creative and imaginative tactics, and I really like Morphy's play in these games. So yes, this position is winning, and obviously in the last game this game was amazing and a very classic and common game. So e4 and as we know this bishop g4 is a bad move. And on this topic I would like to say that when developing we should always develop knights first. There can be some exceptions when we have to develop bishops, but mostly we are always going to develop knights first. So please do not make the mistake that Karl's Duke made. So develop your knights first. That's all I have to say. So yes, so this game was pretty nice too, and knight b5 just finished the game pretty nicely. So yes. And guys, before ending this session, thank you all for participating, and if you like this video, please go ahead and like it and share it. Please go ahead and subscribe down, and subscribe to the Unacademy chess website too if you like my videos, and my profile link is in the description. And if you want to subscribe, please use my referral code Raahil Mullick to get a flat 10% discount. And please go subscribe, and thank you for watching. And this is Raahil Mullick signing off. Thank you so much.